But I do find that if, you know, a woman is with their counterpart who isn't generous and necessarily a provider or protector, you see that they don't have the respect for a man, even if it might initially start off as that.
It's so true.
You'll start to see that they just don't care. Like I've seen it so many times. The respect isn't there. That's when a woman, I believe, might have a wandering eye.
Yeah.
You know, if you're
Yeah,
you're in
I
an
agree.
opportunity. With the way of the world is now, people are not scared to approach people, and you could be somewhere and people are quite forward. There's no respect for relationships now. And you might have that provider energy come. Like, you're telling me if you're with a guy that isn't doing that for you, and somebody comes over and sweeps you off your feet, it's going to attract your attention, or at least like maybe make you think, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've got
reevaluate.
Yeah. Whereas if you've got a partner that you respect as a man, and he is a man, and he's like, you know, like you want to feel like you need him, like, you know.
Yeah.
And then
so would your advice general to guys be to look to date a woman who is lower than your level?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I've got brothers, and I say exactly the same to them. Exactly the same to them. And with it works. It just works because women like to be impressed. That's just the way of the thing is. So if you've got a woman that's lower than you, it's going to be easier to impress her than somebody that's on the same level. How can you impress somebody that's doing exactly the same thing that you're doing?
And she'll be more grateful for it.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
That's one of the major ways men feel loved, is appreciation.
Appreciation, yeah, of course. And it, you know, like I said, things about working out a restaurant. Like, I hate Googling stuff. I hate working out things. You've just something so small, and that's you don't have to be wealthy to do that. It's just the thoughtfulness. And I'm like, oh wow, like you've took into consideration what I like, and you've picked that for me. I'm gonna be, oh, thank you for doing that. You know, you're gonna see that naturally come out of me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So what would you say to, so let's say you have a guy, so you said you've got brothers, right? So let's say you've got your brothers, they're doing well for themselves, etc.
Yeah.
What would you say to the women who are like, let's say they're looking at your brothers, they're like, I want to attract that kind of guy, but he's just intimidated by my success. What would you say to those women?
I think if somebody comes across that they're intimidated by your success, and that's going to be a problem from the get, like just wipe that off, because that's an internal thing. If somebody is intimidated by that, that's something to do with them, and that's not to do with you. And I think that's in any situation. So you can't change somebody's internal thoughts. I always just say, kind of carry on doing what you're doing, and perhaps look for somebody that maybe is more successful than you. I think that dynamic definitely works better. But you will get some people that are not intimidated by that. They couldn't care, but that's because they've done the work in themselves, or they're so content in themselves that an outside factor like that doesn't make a difference. Yeah.
So with that, then, if a woman is really successful, where the majority, she's more successful than 95% of people, does that mean that she can't, and she shouldn't even consider a guy who's not on her level, since most of them won't be?
No, like I said, I think you just need to date a generous man. Like, a generous man can be, you know, even if, okay, let's just say you had a house husband, but it's just somebody like, you come home and, I don't know, he's arranged a bubble bath for you, or, you know, got all your favorite treats, or, you know, it might be a woman's time of the month and they have like a pamper package, or, you know, just make their life easier, or just be a sounding board, or, you know, something like that. It doesn't necessarily have to.
Do you know what's so funny? So the things that, if you say to a woman, okay, you're going to have a house husband, how would you like him to show up for you?
Yeah.
Like those examples, that is exactly how men want women to show up for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just so funny, because it's like, I think a lot of the time women think, oh, what do guys want, or what makes a guy want to commit or have something, etc. Or, you know, I don't want to do these things. But it's like, okay, if you took the typical masculine position of the relationship, where you're providing the frame, and, you know, you're bearing the majority of the responsibility for the relationship, and let's say you had a stay-at-home husband, how do you want him to show up for you?
Yeah.
Says all these things, and I'm like, that's exactly the guy you want. That's exactly how he wants you to show up.
Yeah, you want him to be your peace, right? Like, just want to create a peace and a safe space. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
And I think another thing I would touch on a successful woman, I feel like anyone in the workplace, you definitely have your masculine on. You know, like, I have it if I'm into work, but leave it at work. You know, I wouldn't come home and talk about work unless it was something I needed
help on,
to have
support.
to consult, or just to be able to talk out aloud. But I would leave that there, and then come back at home and just be in my femininity. And I think that's a thing that women I'd see might be beneficial, is to learn to switch that off and leave that there for the workplace, and then, you know. be more in your
Yeah.
feminine when you get home, because that's naturally going to draw, even if he is a house husband, you're going to bring that man out by being soft and being, you know, feminine. Whereas if you go in like, oh, like, you know, you're gonna create the opposite, aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And I
Yeah.
completely agree. So how do you, because you know, you're a business owner, you know, director, etc.,
Mm.
you know, so you've got a business that you run where you do have to be organized, you're telling people what to do, etc.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you tap into the other side, that feminine side of you, especially for the kind of guy that you want,
Mm.
leaving that at work? Because I think that's something that a lot of women
Struggle.
maybe struggle to
Yeah.
do. So
Yeah.
how
Definitely.
do you do that for yourself?
Well, for sure. Like, I don't really. It's not really something I bring up unless it's asked. I don't talk about my work.
Yeah.
You know, I've got my friends for that, and like my business associates and things like that.
Yeah.
And I'll just do my practices like when I'm at home, like I'm doing, you know, like my Pilates, my appearance, that definitely helps me be in my femininity, because I love like, you know, doing my hair, doing my makeup. That's me to the core, no matter what I do. Even in my workplace, that's what I'm like. So that
Yeah.
definitely for me personally draws that out. Being creative, and just I have a soft environment at home. Everything's very soft. I don't think about work. I don't, you know, unless I have to. You know, like, because I don't have a specific workplace, I won't necessarily do my work at home. I'll get up and I'll go to a coffee shop, or I'll do something. I'll keep that space there. And being around my friends as well, you know, naturally that's going to bring out, like, I've got very feminine friends. So I think just doing things that make you feel feminine practices, like,
Yeah.
you know, like I love flowers. I've got flowers all over my house. Even if somebody
Nice.
doesn't buy it for me, that's something I buy on a weekly basis, because they're just pretty to look at. So that keeps me soft.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
What's one thing you think men don't understand about women today?
The little gestures. I think that is, yeah, you know, I think there is a resentment in this era at the moment. And I think the tiniest little things go over a lot of men's heads, like just opening a door, flowers, opening a car door, you know, asking the little details, like the devil's in the details. And it doesn't have to be about doing big grand gestures. It's the little things. Like, we are quite easily pleased in that way. If we feel like you've put thought into us, it makes us giddy, and it makes us feel like a, you know, like a little girl again. So, and I think men, that goes over their head a lot, like, oh, we can't do that, they want equal treatment. I've seen men like, they don't, some of them don't even want to open a door, and it's like, it's really not that deep. Just, it's not that hard. It's a simple thing. Just do it, and you'll see a woman be like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I completely get that. I think it's funny you say women are easy to please. A lot of guys would beg to differ.
Okay. Yeah.
I think they feel that when a guy gets into a relationship, he's like, because I really like how you show up for me, how we've been dating, etc. So this is what I like. That's why I'm in it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys have expressed that their girlfriend wants them to do more.
Yeah.
Once they're in the relationship, and even throughout the relationship. So let's say, for example, like, okay, let's say he's the kind of guy in the beginning that, okay, he was taking her dates and sending her flowers, once every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Right. And he's doing that, right? Which most guys don't do. And then now it's like, they've been doing that for a year. And now she's like, but he doesn't open the door for me. Like, but can you start opening the door for me? And then he's like, in his head, and I think this is why this conversation is really helpful.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, it's not I don't mind doing it, but I've been doing all these things consistently, and now you have an issue that I'm not doing this. Why?
Yeah.
Because you never asked from the beginning.
Yeah.
That was never a thing that, and it's not that you can never express, hey, I'd really appreciate if this is something I really enjoy, and I'd really love it if you did that, right? Sometimes it's in the delivery.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of guys can, this is where it comes from, sometimes guys say this, it's like, even if you give a woman what she wants, it's not enough.
Yeah, I do get that.
So I guess how, you say you have brothers, how would you advise them to navigate that with a woman if they're feeling, well, I feel like she's asking for more, and it's like, but if what I was doing wasn't good enough in the beginning, why are you with me? I think guys ask that question.
Yeah, I think maybe men are more like creature of habits, whereas with women probably it's because we're growing, or most people, you're allowed growth, you're allowed to have a growth and be like, I've got an acquired taste for this now. And it's like you said, it's the delivery. I think if you ask nicely, it's not gonna cut so much. And I think maybe with men, it's letting that little bit of ego go and just be like, why wouldn't you want to to do it. Like if that was a new person and a new person had said that to you, me personally, and you attracted that person, you wouldn't think twice about doing it.
I
And
hear that.
yeah,
I think because for guys, it feels like, so you don't appreciate the things that I've consistently done for you up until this point.
yeah. And I think again, that's a delivery thing. I think sometimes maybe women need to communicate that appreciation. I definitely notice in men, like
Yeah.
simple, just show them appreciation. You know, you get a lot for that. Like just do that.
You really do, man.
Yeah, and
You
I
really
think
do.
again, I think it's down to delivery. I think a woman just
Yeah.
needs to be like, look, I really love what you've been doing, this and that, but I quite like it if you were to do this. That would make me feel that extra special. It is delivery, isn't it? I think if somebody communicated it in that way, like I'm grateful for what you're doing, I am starting to like these things and they make me feel a little bit special. Would you mind doing it? And then it's up to the individuals, because I think in the same breath you can outgrow relationships, and that's okay. Like if you raise your standards, if you like, or you like certain things, or you feel like you've progressed needs that aren't being met, then if you can't solve that between you two, then just like walk away, isn't it?
Yeah.
It depends how, it's not everything's that deep, but I
Yeah.
think it's okay, because you get like people that have, you know, dated or got married younger, and as they're getting older, I don't know, they might be seeing like their friends are going out on dates and stuff, and they might not have had that because of, I don't know, having a family younger, but it doesn't mean that that's not something they'd want now. And why not better to try it and ask for the person that you're with and be like, oh, actually, we've never done this, but I'd like to do it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's
Yeah.
just the delivery of the communication, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you've seen or heard of guys asking for something new in a relationship that he didn't ask for in the beginning from women or a woman?
Not particularly. I don't know. I can't say that I have.
See, girls, you are enough for us, okay?
Yeah.
Whatever you do from again, you're enough for us.
Yeah.
No, I'm teasing.
Yeah.
I'm teasing. I don't know. I'm asking because
Yeah,
I
I'm trying to
wouldn't know.
think. I mean, it depends though on the personality. I mean, there's probably people that are difficult and will constantly be coming up with changes, or I need you to do this, just so that you've not got a mark to meet. But I think that's a certain criteria of a guy.
Yeah.
But no, I will be honest, I think men are creature of habits. They're pretty,
Yeah.
like they're good to go, like they're happy as how things
Very
are.
simple, boy.
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't
I will
take a lot
say
to make
that,
us
yeah.
happy.
Yeah, and I think like, when I say women are simple, I mean it's the little things
Sure.
that can make us happy. Yes, we're constantly wanting to be impressed, but that's just our nature, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think you would do that at the beginning, and if I was a new person, you'd be trying to impress me. So why not 5-10 years later into our relationship or marriage, are you still not giving me that same?
Yeah, I think what it means is if he's doing the same thing, you're not going to be impressed by it 5 years down the line than you were 5 dates down the line.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's been consistent with that, I think a lot of guys go, okay, this is the effort I'm making to make you feel special.
Yeah.
And then when you ask for more, it's like, so is what I'm doing not enough? Why is it not enough anymore? If I do this now, are you going to be, because I still have to do what I've been doing now, not added with this.
Yeah.
And then if I do that in 5 years' time, do I have to add something else? I think this is what goes through guys' heads, and they're like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. I think again, it just comes from a woman's natural nature to want to be impressed. Again, it just comes to communication. I think it definitely has to be given that there is an appreciation for everything that's been done.
Yeah, maybe that's the pivot.
I feel it's the flip side on a man to a woman. Like, you know, we're in a, like, for me, I think if you're you know, a wife or a partner to your, you know, to your partner, you have to try and impress them as well and be that happiness to them, because we're in a place where people get paid to smile at your husband. They go to Tesco's, the woman is paid to sit and smile and be nice to you, you know.
Point.
So I have to trump that. So me smiling is only going to last so long, but I'm going to, not necessarily to keep you interested, but to keep that love and to keep that, you know, that happiness and that make you feel like, oh, you're special, I'm attracted to you. Like, we have to up that as well.
Yeah.
Because I think one thing I think on women, and sometimes I don't agree with us doing that, is that as we get comfortable, we don't make that effort with our appearance for a man anymore. Why not? If that was a stranger and you were a stranger, I'd make that effort to look extra amazing for you. But, you know, 5 years down the line, I'm not doing that. Whereas actually, no, I should be elevating myself even more for you, for your dedication to me for 5 years. I think it works both ways.
No, I completely agree with that. And actually, it even serves the woman to do that, because when he goes to a venue, you know, if he's like, you know, if every time your man says to you, hey babe, we're going out this weekend, and you bring your A game and looking good every time, when he goes into that venue with you as an attractive woman, other guys going to look at you, and it reminds him, oh, I'm with a desirable woman.
Yeah, of course.
I'm with the kind of woman that, give him the chance, another guy might try and take her from me.
Yeah.
And then that reinforces
makes you
the
feel
standard.
like the man, doesn't it, right?
Yeah, but also the masculine is naturally competitive.
Yes.
So it reinforces the standard that he brings to you as the woman.
Yeah.
So while someone might like, oh, why do I have to continue looking good for him? It's like, you're actually doing it because it serves you in the relationship.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You
And
know?
even for a man, like you said, you walk into a place, like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, that's mine. Like, you know, and like you said, a reminder to yourself, like, this is what I've got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I have I did a poll on this. This was about a month ago, and I'm curious. I've started to ask a lot of women this because I'm really curious. I'm curious what you think.
Yeah.
So you've got 10 men in front of you.
Mhm.
Okay. Each of them rated 1 through 10.
Yeah.
And the rating takes into account their height, looks, intelligence,
Mhm.
Success, influence, status, confidence,
Mhm.
right? Now, each rating has a different percentage chance of him cheating.
Okay.
So out of the 10 men, all rated 1 through 10.
Yeah.
The guy who's a 9 or 10 out of 10, 70% chance that he'll cheat.
Mhm.
The guy who's a 7 or 8, there's a 40% chance he'll cheat.
Yeah.
The guy who's a 6 out of 10, there's a 10% chance he'll cheat.
Mm.
And the guys who are 5 and below, 0% chance that they'll cheat.
Yeah.
Which guy are you choosing?
And when you say like what gives their rating, is that everything accumulated for their generosity, their intelligence?
Yes.
And, okay.
So it's like what he is on paper, all of that.
So say a 10 would have all of that, and he's a 10 on all of that.
Yeah. So like the guy who's a 10, right, is like he's tall, attractive, successful, high status, confident, intelligence. So you know the things that you said, like the kind of man you'd
and he's
see
like a
yourself
good
with.
partner, like.
Yeah, he's a good man.
Yeah,
he's a good partner.
Yeah.
Like he shows up for you in those ways.
Well, yeah, I'd pick 10. Yeah.
Even though there's 70% chance.
Yeah, because you're gonna be good in every other way. Like I could have somebody that doesn't cheat at all in the nicest possible way. They're a dummy. Like I'm sat here. There's no conversation. There's no.
So let's say that he's not that he's a dummy. So
Yeah.
there's still personally, I want to differentiate between the caliber of a man and the quality of
yeah.
a guy.
Yeah.
So I'd say the quality of the guy is his personality. So how he is with you, right? So, you know, you do have a good time together. He does have a great personality, his character.
Yeah.
The caliber of a man is what he is on paper.
Right. Okay.
Right. So we can have, that's like him being successful, influential, you know, attractive, because there are guys who are high caliber but low quality.
Yes.
So I'd say like, it pains me to say this because I love hip hop and R&B, but a lot of rappers are high caliber but low quality men.
Yes, absolutely, I agree. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
because of how they treat women and how they are. Right.
Yeah.
But equally, you can have men who are maybe medium to low caliber, but they're very high quality men.
Yeah.
So like by societal standards,
Yeah.
Martin Luther King would be considered low caliber because he didn't have a lot of asset to his name, net worth, but he was a very high quality character for what he was doing.
Yeah.
So let's say the character throughout the 1 to 10 men is consistent.
Right. Okay. Perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
So how you enjoy their company. We're just talking about the caliber he is in relation to the likelihood of him cheating.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe
That's
a little
really
bit lower there in that case. Maybe between like a 7 and an 8.
Most women that I've asked chose that.
Yeah. Because equally, I don't. You know, there's just some people that you know. That isn't even a case of like there's temptation. That is just who you are to the core. And I don't want a promiscuous man. Do you know what I mean? What I mean is that there's temptation and it's around, and if that opportunity presents yourself and you make a mistake, but we have a great relationship or marriage, then we can work on that, fine. But
Sure.
I think sometimes with the extremely high caliber where people are like chucking themselves, like you're in constant temptation, and that might just be who you are. I don't equally want that.
Yeah. So no Chris Brown. No Dan Bilzerian.
No.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I
Because you got to remember, like, essentially as well, I think I always look at if you're having children with this person, like they're going to be an example. So, you know, you need to learn to behave, like be able to uphold yourself. You know.
So true.
Yeah.
Do you think it works the other way with women and their likelihood to leave?
What do you mean?
So if we were saying 1 to 10 women, based on caliber, attractive, feminine, intelligent, supportive, the things that men really highly value. So she's high caliber on paper.
Yeah.
So the women who are 9 and 10, there's a 70% chance that they'll leave. Women who are 7 and 8, there's a 40% chance that they'll leave you for another guy, right? Do you think it works the same? The more desirable a woman is, the more likely she is to leave for another man?
Um, Potentially, I don't know. It's different. I think it would depend on the guy. Like if
Sure.
if you've got it good, then I guess no. But if you've not got somebody, if you feel like again, like the scales aren't balanced, and somebody comes over that is able to sweep you off your feet in terms of maybe not necessarily a better lifestyle, but just okay, a higher caliber man, then I think maybe that's the way to turn a woman's eye. Or if they're if you've emotionally checked out. But I think for a woman, it is hard to.
Yeah.
I think we're quite loyal emotionally to a man, and I think we base a lot of our decisions on emotion.
Based
So
on how, yeah.
yeah.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think a lot of women are very loyal to their emotions and their
Yes.
feelings, and if their feelings is with a man, it almost doesn't matter what caliber he
It doesn't.
is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually
Yeah.
a
So it's like
fact.
logic doesn't really. I think
Yeah.
logic doesn't always be the leading decision maker. It'll be emotion. So you do see it a lot where women will be with, like low caliber men, or not even low quality men, just because they've developed that emotional attachment that
Yeah.
the logic, even though logically, or if anyone was looking in screaming at you to get away, you won't, because we're loyal to a default. So,
Yeah, 100%. Do you it's such a broad question. So outside of like physical abuse and outside of physical abuse or emotional abuse or like, coerciveness, what percentage of people do you think break up because they feel they can do better?
I think it's more prevalent now. Like that's more a decision maker now.
Yeah.
Because of the internet, and we have access to information, and there's more opportunities. Example, I would say for the women now, before you'd be in a marriage and a man would fully take care of that, and you couldn't go out and work, and you couldn't get yourself, out, whereas you can keep up now. So it's almost like keep up or do better. Otherwise, like for me personally, you'd kind of look at like, what's the point? Yeah. I think definitely now it's that probably is a deciding factor in relationships. Now, a few years ago, maybe not, but now I think we've got more opportunities and choices. Now, and
100%.
I definitely think, which I don't always think's a bad thing, but we're definitely more selfish now, like more independent and more about herself, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think you should be independent and find yourself before you get into a relationship. But I think there is aspects of the generation or this era that where people don't see the point of a relationship.
They're asking themselves, what value is this bringing to my life?
Yeah.
Do you think marriage is outdated then?
I personally don't. I like the idea of marriage, but I do think it is outdated. A lot of people are not bothered about marriage now. Or see the point of it.
100%.
Yeah.
Last thing before we wrap up, what's one thing you think a lot of women struggle to understand about men?
I think we touched on it, that they just would like to be appreciated or feel needed, and just show a bit. They're emotional as well, and just feel a bit of gratitude. Everyone likes to feel good, and it's just maybe they're not so open with everything. But if, like anyone, if you do something nice for people, like you want to feel that appreciation. And I think a big thing that women, it would probably like a word of advice I would give is appreciate what a man does, like even the small things, because from what I've seen, that also encourages more.
Big facts.
If you do something nice for somebody and there's no gratitude for it, or even it's like you're not going to do that again, are you?
Yeah.
Or you're going to think twice. Yeah.
It's so true. I completely agree.
Hope you really enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full episode where that clip is from, then I want you to click right here where you can watch the full episode. And if you're ready to claim your man today, enroll in my program below, and I'll see you there. Wishing you an amazing day.